Okay. I'd like to just pick up one thing from the last mitzvah. Um, we had a problem because the Mos Sanhedrin seemingly says that the Shvua She'ovar, Abdimi, Oven, that Shvua Ala Ovar, Shvua Sheker Ala Ovar, Shvua Bitu Ala Ovar, is based on the law of Shvua Shov. And the Ram Mishnah Torah paskins that all four, both Shvua Ala Ovar, Lech, Ochal, Ochalti, Lo Ochalti, and also Shvua Osid, the Echol, Velo Yochal, are all under the law of Loisi Shov L'Shmi L'Shoker, Shvuas Bitui. And the question, where does the Ram come from? So I think the answer to that is very simple. We just have to evaluate what's Machogas Asugis. The Sugi in Tmura, I think, is clearly like the Rambam, because the Gemara in Tmura on Gimel Beis, after discussing Shvua Shov, it discusses Shvua Sheker, and Shvua Sheker that there's no Malchus by Shvua Sheker. Rabbi Yochanan Didei Omo Lashov Shnei Pomim. It says in the pasuk of Yisrael L'Shmi Lashov Ki Lo Yinak Hashem Eisa Sheisa Shmo Lashov. There's twice. Him Einu In L'Shvua Shov Tineo Inyan L'Shvua Sheker. So this is talking about the second case is talking about Shvua Sheker Deloiket. So the question is, what's the case? Elom Avavo Tehei V'Achalti V'Lo Yachalti. That Ochalti and Lo Yachalti is Chayiv Malchus. Umay Shno the Komal V'Achalti V'Lo Yachalti May Ochel V'Lo Ochel in the future. Omarovo B'Fei Reshub Tzatera Sheker Dumi D'Shov Ma Shov L'Shovar Av Sheker L'Shov. So it's more foolish that it's a Shvua Sheker, and it's a lav because it would be the lav of Shvua Shov. You know the whole discussion in the Gemara. So the Gemara is saying not only is Shvua Sheker Shvua Shov Chayiv Malchus, but also Shvua Sheker. So it means that Shvua Sheker is a lav of Shov L'Shvua Sheker, and it's not from a lav of Shov. And that's where the Ram is coming from. That's what I thought is very simple. It's Machol Gesugis or not. We have to evaluate that and how to work out the Sugis and Shvuas. But this Sugi in Tmura L'Chera, the Rambam is in that supports the Rambam. Okay, let's start now. The next mitzvah. The next mitzvah is the lav of Shov. He sheshilnu Shelo Lishova Shvua Shov. V'amu Yisale Lo Siso Eshem Hashem Elokecha Lashov. See here, Lo Sishova Shvua Shov, or what it's lo, or Li Yizhanu Me Shvua Shov, or Al Shvua Shov, depends upon how you, the Makor, the original Arabic supports the translation of Shvuas, Mishvua Shov, or Al Shvua Shov, like Kapochim Liyov, not like Lishova Shov, but it could be it's coming from the Minyan HaKotze, Lo Lishova Shov. So, I mean, I'm not sure there's no big deal. It's a question just being accurate to translation. So let's go on. Let's deal with more important issues, okay? Now, what does the word shov mean? Shov is something which is bottle, or superfluous, or meaningless. There's a mechot of Shemay Yochoi, in Shmos Chov, Pasuk Zayin, Lo Yisiz Hashem Elokecha Lashov, Aim Lashov El Dovo Shelo Hoya V'Lo Niyeh V'Lo Asid Liyois. It's completely detached from reality. B'chein, you can look at the Ram Shvuas Perek Avoloch Hey Shezeh Adova Aim by Safik Lo Adam Sholem Kedei Letzadek Adova B'Shvua. there's no necessity. It's a waste of a shvua to talk about it. The Ramban in Dvorim Perek Hey Pasuk Yud Zayin on the Loisan Nebreacho a shov. What's the word shov mean? So leso lohoyir al chaveiroi afilu dov sheno klum v'lo yischai boy klum bebezdin kagon chioid oma ploni litain lezeh mona v'lo economy odor. He shov dova bottle. It's worthless. It's a meaningless statement. Okay, now here, okay, that's just the word shov means. Now here becomes the interesting part, okay? Looking at the pasuk, Lo sisa Hashem Elokecha lashov, there's no mention here in the pasuk of shvua at all. It's so the question is, where did shvua come from? So there is in Rav ben Rambam, and we see in Ramban, the following: that Rav ben Rambam, I think Ramban also like that, each in his own way, claims that the pshuto shel mikra is moti shem shamayim without a shvua, and he happens to say that it's der schoik b'kalos roish, and that's haskora shem shamayim lashov. And maybe he holds that only der schoik in kalos roish is really that's called Hoishah Shem Lashov. Okay, that's really neither here nor there, okay? And Bimoisi Shem Shamayim in the framework of a Shvua is also with a Kal V'chomer. But the Etzem Isa is to Motzi Shem Shamayim Lashov. However, according to the Kabbalah, the Isa is their Shvur B'daf. Let's see Rav ben Rambam, Shmos, Perek Chof, Pasuk Zayin. Divrei Masvel Sisa V'goymer, Pshutoi Shel Habitui, Shelo Yiyeh Shmo Yis'ala, Nisa Ala Loshen, to put it on our mouth, the tip of our tongues. V'niska der Schoik B'kalus Roish. Gam im ein kan shvur. V'alachas kama v'kamo shelo yishova bo levatola olishek. No difference, sheke, vatola, we'll see about that even more. But it just in terms of pshuta shel mikra. Ubo Kabbalah, and the Kabbalah comes b'peirushay, so the it's a pirush b'kabbalah. Ubo HaKabbalah pirushay shu ashora alash. Behemshach miklos Messiah l'mayim hazeh Oma Hashem Yisale Asher Nososi Es Yodi, which is a shvur. V'goy meremes mamo shel Avroma over Shalom Bakeda Bi Nishbati v'goy me v'oma ki eso el Shomayim Yodi. But interesting, the Lisa over here is picking up his hands, and maybe picking up your hands is a shvur, but just Lisa as Shem might be saying the Shem, but he's not being mechalik. Okay, but that would he say that. The Ramban is also like this, that it's only derech Abusenu, that it's a shvur, but if you pshuta shel mikra, it's Neshia Shem Shemayim L'Tzorch. Ramban Shmos, Perek Chof Pasuk Zayin, Divrei Masel Yisisa Shem Hashem Achach Lashov. Pa Nisporesh Zeh HaKosu B'Divrei Rabbeinu, Shehu Oiseh Lishova B'Shem HaNichbod L'Rik. Kagoin anishbal yadu le'odom l'shanoisei l'kaimo. It's a shvur l'rik. Al amud shel shayish shel zov or shehu shel shayish. Either what it certainly not or what it certainly is. The shvur doesn't add anything. U'oimi lifneim makirim boy. But al derech hapshat, however, yesa oid shelo yisa al svosov Hashem anichbad al chinom. It's Moti Shem Shemayim Batola. Koloshin loisisa Shem Hashem. So maybe the Rambam is working in this context, and the Rambam brings the Mishnah in Shavuos that which he, in his opinion, is a Pirush Makubal, to explain that this is a Shavuot and what type of Shavuot is Shav. And it's also foolish in the Gemara that Moshe Shem Shemayim Batola is only in Isaseh. As it's a more Tmura and Daftalam and Aleph. Elaki Am with Moshe Shem Shemayim Batola Azarose Mehecha Alom Eloi Foksiv Es Hashem Elokecho Tiro V'Yosei Sabu Ahu As Hoes Hasei. And that is Moshe Shem Shemayim Batola. So the Rambam then is just, is not, is skipping a step. HaMitzvah shtayim v'shishim, ishis hilu shali shavam shuvoshav, without any problem. For who she shava, and he's talking about, and it's certainly shvua, and he's not even mentioning the option that it's not something like that. And then he's quoting the Mishnah, Ezeu shvua shav nishba, and that is the lav. So here, I just like to add something, okay? There is a very, see, what you're ending up with is that, again, the Pshuta Shal Mikra is that Moshe Shem Shemayim Batola. And the Pirush Makubal is that Lisa or Esa is Esa Yodi, is like Esa Yodi, and it's a Shvur. So if someone would have asked, is a Blochel of Atola, could it come under the lav l'sisa Shem Elokecha l'shov? So I would say absolutely not. L'fi pshutai, it certainly is, because not Moshe Shem Shemayim Batola. But in the once you have the Pirush Makubal that it's Shvua, so it's Shvua, and that's what it is. However, the Ram Hilchos Brachos in Perek Aleph Halacha Tesvav, Kol Mavorach Bracha She'en Tzricha, Harei Zeh Noisei Shem Shamayim Lashov. V'harei hu kinishpa lashov. V'harei hu kinishpa lashov. So, a priori, you would say this is a Pirush Makubal. This is it's only simile or metaphor, and it's only like that, and it's only the Rabbana. That's what you would have said. There's the Pirush Makubal that it's shvur. However, comes the Rambam bichvoida ba'atzmoi, Shas Shuvas Rambam, Siman Kuf Chav Dalet, Lefi shebrocha she'enu tzricha Asura, Isura Doraisahi. What do you mean Isura Doraisa? And then he continues, Mishum Shu Noise Shem Shomayim Lashor. So, l'chera, what happens is the world turns upside down. Because then what's the Pirush Makubal? So, what seems to happen is that if you're Motzi Shem Shamayim, Levatola Tam, that's an Isaseh. But if it's in the framework of a you see, it seems to be like Noise Shem Shamayim, the word Noise happens to be within the framework. And a priori, it's irrelevant of whether it's in the frame of reference of a shvur or the frame of reference of a bracha, which is very odd. But I remember Rebbe pointing out that Kvega takes this very seriously. And if it's in the frame of reference of a bracha, there might be an Itza Moisi Shem Shemayim Vatola, even with a kinui. And this Rav Kvega, he said over, Rav Kvega has this problem. If he could be Yotzei Binyamin Raya, or whatever Binyamin Raya is, Binyamin Raya, yeah, the Ramban, it's this, it's that. But if you assume that Brich Achmona, the Moed High Peter, could be a Boch Rishona or whatever, so so a person has a suffix whether he made a motzi or not. So we say suffer bochas lahokah. So if Krega says no, what's the problem? Say Richachmono more die pita, and you're okay. You're set. He says, since you're mentioning, even though it's a kinoi in the frame reference of bracha, it becomes like a bracha v'torah or whatever, and then it would be also, and there's no head to do thing beside. See, the real question you have to ask yourself. We know, let's start like this, okay? And we'll see this later. But let's work with, I'll show you the Gemara and Tmura about it, the foolish. And I assumed it in the beginning of our discussion that there is, that there clearly is Malchus for Shvur. Okay? And that's the Maimah. We'll see later that call Lab Shem Boy Maisa. Ein Leiken Alof, Chutz Bi Nishba, Meima, Makalach, or Makalach Havel B'Shem. But Nishba Meima is the Chayiv, and Nishba the Gemara says in Tvua, it's referring to Shvur Shav. I don't believe that anyone will say that if someone makes a Bochel Matola, even the Ram says it's the Raisa, you get Malchus. So you can be, be smart. Say, oh, so the Kabbalah is about Shov, Shvur Shov, but I'm not sure how good that is. Because the Gemara learns that from Lo Yinake, which is the same pasuk, and if you violate the law of Leisisa Shem Shema Shem Lokecha Lashov, so l'chera you should get Malchus also, and l'chera I think there's no portion, there's no Malchus, so somehow you're going to have to say that Bracha Levatola is not the Ikalav. Because the Kabbalah is Shvur. So then, it becomes like, you don't know where you're standing. Because the Gemara says that Bracha Vatola is Leisisa. So Kiel, there's a second tier of a Kabbalah. It becomes very very odd. Because see, when you're working in Pshuta Shomika, and you say this is Pshuta, and there's a second tier which is a drasha. So then okay. But when you're working with a Pirush Makubal, I'm not sure how much room you have to add things. Let's just say there's only a drasha, and that's a Pirush Makubal. So I'm not sure how all this works. But whatever it is, I just want to tell you, it's a double portion to me, that it's not Ki'ilu, that there was the Kabbalah, that if you say Shem Shemayim in a certain framework, then that's the law, and it doesn't make a difference whether it's Shpur or whether it's Bracha. I don't believe that. And the Ram always praises the law as Shvur. It happens to be that it's an Isa D'Raisa Bracha, but it's not the same thing. How that happens, whether it's a second tier in the Kabbalah, it's only a drasha, maybe. I can't tell you anything. Could be it's only a drasha. But the lashon is interesting in Rambam. How is it? Noisei Shem Shemayim Lashov, V'Alihu Ki Nishpa Lashov. It's only Ki, but it's a Chafadimian. There's a very interesting thing here. Just to show you how you can discussion, and I just mentioned Rambam. I'm not going to say pshat in it, okay? I just thought you might find it of interest. There's a Rambam in the last Shabbos, the Parsha Bishpatim. He says on Mekal, the Bishop Mekal, and Makil, and Mekal. So he says, just I'll read one line. So Ramban's in Shmos Chafalif Tezvav. Ob mibnei sheyesh beklola chet kod. The question is, why is klola worse than makir? Yosef shehi bas kolas Hashem. B'nei tzorch lanisho al chetoi bi'ovi v'imoy v'al asher nosa Hashem Elokov lefesha bechet. So the word nosa is referring to leisisa, but he says it's lefesha lechet because he's chayte alov v'imoy. We don't know how that shav. We don't know what's going on over here. He has a play on shav with klola in the lav of leisisa. We have no idea what he's talking about. That's just an aside. Now comes the interesting part. Okay, this is simple. The Pshuta Shel Mikra is not a shvur, and the Kabbalah is that it's a shvur. Now, next step comes a Rambam and a Rambam and suggests that the lav of shov is only on something which is botel and not on sheker, is only because of the Kabbalah. But without the Kabbalah, we would have said that Shav includes also Sheker. I'll lead to the Ravam ben Rambam and the extension of the piece that I read before. VaKabbalah gam kein mechalekes ben shvuas shav u'shvuas sheker. It's only the Kabbalah that differentiates between the two. Ba'azchora al shvuas sheker ma'amo v'lo yisishavu b'shmi la'shoker, and it's a separate lav. However, Uncles is not like that. Uncle is Sefer, Shazho Zu, Kan, Kolelis, that's where he's on the pasuk, the Si Shem Elokech Lashov, Kolelis es Shteyen, Oma B'Talgumoy, Leiseme B'Shmo D'Hashem Elokech L'Magono, for nothing, U'Magono U'Chino, Tilgum Shalchinum is Magono. The Hishlem es Hatagum, and then it continues. The Oma Arei Lo Mezake Hashem Yos Di Yame Shvua Bishmei Lishikra. So he discusses both Sheker and Shav in the same lav, in the explanation of lav. Harei Tilgum Shav Am Magono, and it's the word Shav in the same pasuk. Like see Hashem, Hashem, Esa Sheyisa Shmol Hashav. And the first Shav he interprets as Magono, and the second Shav he interprets as Sheker. Upam Shikro, Kedei Shichlo Amikro L'Shtei Ashoros. So L'Cheira, according to Unkelis, there's one lav, which includes both Shav and Sheker. Then the Torah mentioned Sheker later, but it doesn't make it a separate lav. There's one lav, which is Shav and Sheker. And you find similarly in Sefer Kemach, in the Shvuos base, Loisisa Zu Mitzvos Loisase, Shlo Lishova Lashov, V'yichlo Sholavo al Shvuos Bitui, Ushaloi L'chal Shmo Hashem HaKodesh Baruch Hu Shnema L'Ischal Hashem Kodshi, and all this is included under Leisisa. And the Rambam is coming Lafuke Mizeh, and I would suggest that even though I would have written Shav before Sheker, because as it comes in the Torah, it's in Aseres HaDibros, the Rambam has Sheker before Shav to show you that it's a completely independent Isa. There's a lav of Sheker and a lav of Shav, and maybe he goes out of his way to describe it because Shav does not include Sheker, and that's the Kabbalah. Okay, next. So here we go. Okay, now the Ram lists a few cases. Vuhu sheishover al mechuyev ametzias, shehu bechiluf, ma shehu boy nimsa, the opposite of what it is, or adobo mina nimnoos, shehem nimsoos, or that which is a physical impossibility is to say that it's a reality. We'll continue, we'll go through each one. Lineda. Oh, Yishava Levatel Dvar Mitzvah. V'chein im Nishba Al Dover Yadua V'lo Yachishu, that everyone agrees that that's what it is. V'lo Yachlik Olo Shum Odom Min Oilo Kagon Shishava B'Hashem, he called me Shishochet Yomus. Kagon Zeh Gam Kain Nos Hashem Lashov. And that we'll see. Then he quotes Velosha al Mishnah, Ezer Shua Shov, Nishba L'Shana says Yadua L'Odom. Now let's go through it one at a time. And these are all the cases of Shov. So we have Bechiluf Mashu Boy Nimsa, the opposite of the reality, and Kapach translates it Behepech Mikfi Shehu Motzui, which is a little more understandable, but it's the to say that it's that reality is not reality or something like that. Okay. This is what's mavu in the Mishnah. Nishbal dover shi efsha. The second one. Then o al dover mina nimnois shein nimnois. That which is impossible to say that it's reality. First is to deny reality, and then that which is impossible to exist in reality, you say exists. And that's what the Mishnah second case of the Mishnah. Nishba al dovo shi efsha im lo reisi gomo sheperech ba'avir v'im lo reisi nochosh kekoris beis abad. It's not reality. The oddity is that's the Mishnah, and that's what we would have assumed. But in Hilchos Shavuos, when the Ram is describing this category, he quotes a different thing. In Perek Aleph, Hilchos Shavuos, Allah Zayin, Levius shenishba al dovo she'ein boi koyach la'asais. It's something that man can't do. It's physically difficult, impossible. Ketzad gon shenishba lo yishan shlosha yomim laila v'yom mitzufim o shelitum klum shiva yomim mitzufim chen kol yetz v'zeh. So this is odd in Mishnah Torah. Here he's taking, you see, the Mishnah is a broader category. It's something which is impossible. And under that is subsumed that it's not only in reality it's impossible, it's physically impossible. But to call the category that which is physically impossible, to assume it includes the broader category, l'chayr is a little odd. And l'chayr, the Mishnah is the proper way of doing it. And that's the way the Ram is doing it here. So l'chayr, the broad category is that it's something which is impossible in reality, and a subcategory is something which is impossible for me to do. Now, the third one is Yishova Levatel Dvar Mitzvah. So in Ibn Eoiv, Lavo al Mitzvah Minatera, and in Kapach, Lahamreis Mitzvah Satera, and L'chayra by Ibn Tibin, it's just Levatel Dvar Mitzvah. Now, the plain translation of the Judeo-Arabic would be something minatera or draisa or something minatera. And the Ibn Tibin is very vague because you can say Dvar Mitzvah is not necessarily minatera. Shvur, levato mitzvah, l'chayr is the shvur shav, if your matal mitzvah is the raisa. L'chayr, and that's what you would have assumed from the Mishnah. Oshi shava, lavo aldovo, shikvat sivsa boy hatera. That's what the Ram refers to in Pirush Mishnah. And in the Mishnah itself, it says, Shvua shelo ni'itcha, Shvua nishba levat, excuse me, mish levatel es mitzvah, shel lasei sukkah, shel lito lulav, shel niach tefillin. We're talking about the raises. That's the Mishnah. Okay. B'chein, further on, im nishba al dovo yedua, and to say that the wall is a wall. Lo yachishu sheu, lo yachol golov, shum odom minot me'olam. Going to Yishava B'Hashem, ki kol mi shi shochet yomus, k'goin zeh gam kein nosa shem Hashem lashov. So it's interesting. He's going out of his way in this case because it's, in other words, there are three cases which are clearly true. And then Kilu, there's also a fourth case. It could go in Zeh. Gam kein nosa shem Hashem lashov. So the question is, why is this Gam kein? Kilu, it's a second thought. And the first three are partial. So Rabbi Isai, the answer is very simple, because the first three in the Mishnah, and the fourth are not. The fourth is not. The Mishnah Shavuos, Perek Gimel, Mishnah Ches, Ezi Shavuos Shov, Nishba Lashanis is the Yadua, La'odom, V'yoma al ha'omut shu even. Of ha'omut shel even, shu shel zov, V'alo ish shu isha, V'alo isha she ish. Nishba al dova she efsha, Im reisi, Gomot shepoech ba'avir, V'im lo reisi, noch shekos beis abad. Omalei bo v'yidiru, shvur sheloi ne'itcho, Nishba levatel es HaMitzvah, shelo aseis mitzvah, shelo lito lulav, shelo l'niach tefillin. That's the end. It ends with the third category, the Mishnah. The fourth one is in the Talmud. It's not in the Mishnah. That's the Ram says, Gam kein, it's also the Ram Pirush Mishnah in Perek Gimel Mishnah Tes, Hine nizboye lecho kan, ki mine shvuos shov shleisha, v'echad sheyishva al dovo hamotzui achiyuvi shu hepech mikfi shu motzui, to that which is against reality. O shishova al nimna metzias shu motzui, that which is impossible, that does not exist, that it does exist. Oh, shishova la'avo al dovo shekvat sibsa boy hatera v'silku imenu b'chius adam. I mean, you don't have a choice about it anymore. The Torah says that's what you should be doing. V'nizboye b'talmud min revi'i u'shishova al dovo she'ein bo tzorach l'tzadik es adovo v'shvua. It's something which you don't have to in any way make sure that people believe it with a shvur, because it's obvious to everyone. Because nishbal ish, shu ish. And where is this? Where's the makor? To Yushalmin Shavuos, per gimel achaches. Chizki Omar, ahein, the mishtabe al train, the inun train, loike mishvuos shav. If he makes a shvua, the 2 is 2. So you understand? He's not adding anything to the reservoir of human knowledge, and it's obvious to everyone. So it's a shvua shav, and that's the 4th category. That's the Rambam the stress over here, that even though it's not in the Mishnah, it's still equal. Okay, let's say the next. Now comes the Rambam and adds, okay? Now, Voloshin Mishnah, we have Eze Shvua Shav, Nishba, L'Shanas Yedua, La'odam V'chule. So that we have. Now, and that's the 4th case is in the Talmud. V'oiva alav zeh, b'mezid chayiv malchus. And here it's very clear that in Shvua Shav there's a chayiv malchus. And that is the Gemara Gimel and Aleph. Omar Vidi Ba'ovin, Omar Rav Amram, Omar Yitzchok, Omar Yechanon, Mishum Yisag Lili, Kol Loisas Shabatera, Osa Bomaisa Loike, Lo Osa Bomaisa Poto, Chutz Binishpa, Umeima, Mukala Chaver B'Shem. Afal Pi Shelo Osa Maise, Chayiv. So there's an exception, 3 exceptions. Like the Gemara Nishba Manola. Why or how do we know that Nishba is Chayiv Malchus? Oma B'yechem Mishum Meya. Oma Kro Ki Lo Yinaki in the Pasuk Lo Yisir Shem Elokech Al Hashov. Ki Lo Yinaki Hashem Esa Sheisa Shmo Lashov. So we dorish that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not Menake. Bezdin Shomaylo. Eino Menake, Ein Menake Noisai. Now we're going to Gimel Beis. Avo Bezdin Shalmato Malki Noisai Umenaki Noisai. So it means there's a Kabbalah, a deal from the Pasuk that there's a Nikui in Bezdin Shalmato, and that is Derech Malki. Okay. So then it continues. V'oiva alav zeh b'meiz l'chayim malchus u'b'shkoga poto kishah chayv elavim Moshe Bialnu. What does he mean in Loisa Samach Aleph? Because Loisa Samach Aleph he says that the chiyuv malchus is only mezid. So if it's shogeg, he's not chayv, he's part of malchus. And that must be no korban in Shav. So he's part in Gansen. But the thrust of what he's saying here is that he's part of Malchus, because Malchus has only been Mason. B'shom omo kloima b'shvuos shom in the Masechah Shvuos. Ezer Shvuos Shav shechayob mazdayin makis b'ashirasa potter. That is Shvuos Shav. B'shom hisba'aru mishpatei mitzvah. And all the kabol, the dinim, the tukim in this mitzvah are there in Masechah Shvuos. Okay. So, and Shvuos Shav is the only type of shvuah. Remember, there were 4 shvuahs we pointed out last week. Shav, Sheker, Edus, and Pekodin. And shvuas, Shav is the only shvuah that on one hand it says Lo Yinak Hashem, on the other hand, in Shogeg, there's no korban. Okay, next. Okay, next. The mitzvah. A mitzvah asholish b'shishim. He shis hilu michil Hashem. So there's a lot of chil Hashem. And it's very important here that Ram makes a statement, Vu hepech kiddush Hashem, shenistavinu boy, shekodem bi'uroi b'teshiyis mi mitzvah say. So we had in mitzvah say chi, there's a mitzvah of kiddush Hashem. So he says, however, there's a law of chil Hashem, and it's the opposite of kiddush Hashem. That's what he's saying. The opposite of kiddush Hashem. So we'll have to see. It's certainly kedai. So we're not going to finish this week anyway. It's kedai to look at mitzvah tests and to look what's going on over here. And a person who does that is a little bit befuddled because the Rambam, when it comes to the mitzvah of Kiddush Hashem and mitzvah tests, he goes on, and it's discussion of Kiddush Hashem, where there's an honest Tibioi Bala mitzvahs and Chananya Vazai Azaria, that the Moise Nefesh for not to be to the Tzelem, and that is the discussion in mitzvah tests. That's where the discussion begins, and that's where it ends. The interesting thing is, however, when it comes to the lav, he has three categories of Chilul Hashem. He has the first category of honest and to violate mitzvahs, which is understood. So then it's hepech. But he has two other categories. One, meshum lahachis, amum lahachis, whatever you want to call them. And the third is a chacham who acts in a way that people are second guessing him. And we'll see what that means. So it's very odd that the Rambam should make a statement of hepech and not symmetrical. And how does that happen? What does that mean? Why does he talk so much over here? He doesn't talk there. We'll have to see. That's just, one of the problems going to have to, because he's very serious before he tells you anything. V'hu hepech kiddush Hashem. Stavinu boy shekodne biuroi b'teshiyis mitzvahs haseh. V'hu omer yis'aleh v'lo yisachalu eshem kodesh. So good. Lo yisachalu eshem kodesh is lav chilul Hashem. Now, the whole portion, there's a lav here, because it says lo yisachalu eshem kodesh. However, one could claim that there's no asay, but there's only a lav. Lo yischal Hashem kodeshi v'nikdashti b'torch b'nei Yisrael. So I could have read it, and I can imagine Pshuta Shemikla is. There's a lav of Chilul Hashem, And however, if you obey the law and the shema to be over the law, there's avtocha that there'll be kiddush Hashem, but not as a mitzvah. V'nikdashti is it's not v'nikdashti, and I will do the Buddha Shalom was saying on himself, will be kaddish b'toich b'nei Yisrael. But there's a mitzvah on the b'nei Yisrael to make kaddish Shem Shamayim. We don't know that from Chupa Shal Mikol. The law of what our discussion over here, the is the whole portion. Okay. Well, it's the Chal Hashem Kodshi, v'nikdashti b'seich b'nei Yisrael. So the Chayra, you would have said, you shouldn't do this, and this will happen in Mela. But no. It's like we have Loi Sechaye called the Shovo, Ki Hachrim Tachrimen. You shouldn't do this, but do this. You shouldn't be Machal Hashem, but you should be Mekad Hashem. It's a very odd reading of the Pasuk. You see, in Loi Sechaye called the Shovo, we understand the reading. Loi Sechaye called the Shovo, Ki Hachrim Tachrimen. But here, Loi Sechal Hashem Kochi, V'niktashti el ki or ki. But that's the way it is. The Ram over here now. Who Amar Yisale Leischalish Eshem Kochi, and Va'ovein Hazeh Yicholok L'Shosh Chalokim. It's in three parts, and all three violate the law. Shnayim Kolulim. The two are for everyone, the Hamon Am, any person, Klal Yisrael. However, the Echad, and the third one is Miyuchad, is only by a small group in Klal Yisrael, and we'll see who they are. They're the Yechidi school, the Adam Choshuv. Okay. Now the first case. V'ulam achelik alishon, achelik ho'echod akoilel, shekol mi sheyivakshu mimenu lavo al dova min HaMitzvos b'shas hashmad v'hu ha'oines v'hu v'hoya ha'oines, the ma'anis, the person who wants to force people to abrogate their religion, miskaven lahavir, it's shas hashmad, and he adds, it's not only shas hashmad, but a shmas hashmad, where he's mechaven lahavira. It's not lanos atz. Bein mitzvahs kalos, bein mitzvahs chamuros. And that's shas hashmad lahavira. And then the second case, oh, me, sheyivukesh mimenu, sheyavoid avodah zarah, oh, gilu agayis shvichas domim, the gimel averis, vafilu shaloi b'shas hashmad. So the shas hashmad and also lavira al dosoi, and the shaloi b'shas hashmad and the gimel averis. And the chiddush of the Rambam is that the law of Leisachalil, Leisachalu, Eshem Kochi, applies to both cases. Applies to Shas Hashmad, La'avi al Dosai, and Shloi b'Shas Hashmad in the Gimel Averis. Hine hu chayiv lahatin nafshay v'over yavo. In both cases, the obligation is to be killed and not to violate the Avera. Kamo shibianu b'chi mi mitzvahs aseh. And this is explained in the 9th mitzvah. And that explains Varichas. That's the whole discussion. V'im ovar v'loy neharag kvar chilul es Hashem. He violates in all these cases the law is Chalashim Kochi. V'over alav zeh. V'im hoye berabim kloima basom Yisrael kvar chilul es Hashem berabim. V'over al omro Yisrael is Chalashim Kochi. V'chetoi godol mei. Aval einoi chayiv malchus. Mipnei shu anas. Ki ein lebezdin lekayim ged the malchus oy misa el amazed b'rotzoi be'edim basra, which the Rambam explained in the mitzvah of Shavuos Bittui, Lav Shavuos Bittui. Blosh Sifra, Benois Mizar Lamolech. When Asati Ani Esponai, Bli Shahu. And that's Avodah Zarah. There's a separate Lav from Zar Lamolech, but it's an Indian Avodah Zarah. Amrei Hahu V'lei Anus, V'lei Shegi V'lei Muta. So there's no chiyuv. In oines shegi and muta, only amazing. And in honest, it's not amazing. In a spoil lecho, she'oivet avodah zarah be oines, eno chayv koros. Because the chiyuv koros, or the chiyuv mises bezdin, or the chiyuv malchus is b'mezid, b'rotzoin, b'edim, b'asra. V'kol shkein mises bezdin. Aval ovo al chilul Hashem. So here, let's just start and then the mashal here is a Tosefta in Shabbos, Perek Tezayin Halacha Yudalid. Ein lecha dov oim lefnei pikuach nefesh chutz me'avodah zarah yil arayis shviras damim van v'um shalei b'shas ha'gzeira afilu mitzvah kalo shebakalos odem noisi nafsho leo shenema lo yischal Hashem kodshi. So it means it applies to that's the mitzvah of Kiddush Hashem and applies to both. That's in Tosefta, but we'll see the Gemara brings it only according to Rabbi Yishmael, who says that Oyog Vayav was only by Avodah Zarah, B'tzina. And in Mitzvah Hashem, we'll see it's going with Sanhedrin on the Ayin Daled Beis, Oben Aleph, Avodah Zarah Chav Zayin Beis, and it's a Sefer, and on Achrei Mois, Parsha Ches, Perek Yud Gimel, Halacha Yudalid. The Sanya Rabbi Yishmael Oime Minayin Shimoim Loli Odom Avoid Avodah Zarah V'al Tehoreg Shiavo V'al Yehoreg Shiavoid V'al Yehoreg. He should violate Avodah Zarah. Tamaloim V'chai Bohem V'lo Shomus V'em Yochal Filu V'Hesha Tamaloim V'lo Yischal Es Shem Kodshi. But the Ram holds that this law applies to everything, and the Gemara quotes it like Rabbi Yishmael, because that's all that Rabbi Yishmael holds as a chiyuv v'yol v'yavo. Mitzvah Hashem will pick the rest up in next week of Mitzvah Hashem.